Welcome back, guys. Today I want to have an important conversation, and it's going to be about feeding your new Jack Russell Terrier puppy. Clearly they have to eat, but feeding a puppy is completely different than feeding a full-grown Jack Russell, which is Luna here. So, let's give him a little zoom for you. Say hi. No kisses. So that's what this video is going to be about. Stick around and we will cover hopefully everything you need to know about feeding your new Jack Russell puppy. Alright guys, like I said, welcome back to the channel. Luna and I are happy to have you back, and I feel like this is an important topic or discussion to have because a lot of new dog owners simply don't know that there is a substantial difference between feeding a puppy and feeding a full-grown Jack Russell. She's full grown, she's almost 3 years old, so clearly she is on a different diet. Not necessarily different, I have made a video in the past, discussing the differences in food, like wet food, dry food. I'll put a link in the description below for you, but the biggest thing you need to understand about a puppy is they eat more frequently, they poop more frequently, and they have sensitive stomachs. So my number one recommendation right out of the gates for you guys is to always make sure that you're taking your breeder's recommendations in conjunction with a vet's recommendations. Whatever the dog has been eating at the breeder, they should have already transitioned to food instead of winging off the mother Jack Russell at this point. I would likely stick with that. Now that doesn't mean you can't change foods, but if you want to change, let's say when you get home, it's the first week home, you're going to stick to a puppy formulated food at this point. There's a difference. There's more of a balance of the nutrients inside of the foods to help a growing and maturing dog versus a dog that's kind of reached its peak growth. So with that being said, take whatever the breeder was using in most circumstances, and then you can start doing a slow mix into the puppy food of your choice. Typically a dry food, sometimes a wet food, but you're not going to want to do a full transition all at once because that's going to upset their stomach from what they're used to, which is also probably going to cause some diarrhea, some belly pain, right? And things like that. So the next most critical thing you need to understand is that puppies eat in the beginning 4 times per day. That seems like a lot because now Luna only eats 2 times per day, but during the first few months, you're gonna be on 4 small feedings. This is gonna help them kind of get the digestive memory down. They're gonna be easier to potty train than if you overload them with food, and they just are more prone to grow correctly, if you would, if that's a good word for it. Eating multiple times per day, getting that metabolism going. And then as they reach about 6 months is when it's going to start slowing down. This is when you can cut down to usually 3 times per day, still on puppy food. And then again, when you start approaching the 1-year mark is when you can drop down to 2 times per day, and you can start making the decision on transitioning to adult dog food. One of the next biggest tips I can give you guys is when you're on that 4 times per day feeding schedule, you need to realize that this dog is small. The food runs through them very, very quickly. So this is an opportunity, not a problem, for you to start mastering that potty training process. Feed them, give it just a few minutes to digest, and go outside with them. This is a great time to be rewarding them when they're going potty outside as a puppy. Like I said, the food's gonna move right through them, so you can go straight outside, bring your pooper scooper with you, and give them a treat for doing what they were supposed to do. You also need to realize with the Jack Russell, this might not pertain to all of them, but it definitely applied to Luna here, whether she wants to admit it or not, but this is a picky eating dog, especially compared to my yellow lab. So you may need to encourage them or make it a little exciting for them to actually consume those 4 meals per day that are spread out. Luna is more of one of those dogs that likes to eat when she chooses. She can have a full bowl all day and then eat a lot of it. She can take a couple bites here and there. Unfortunately, Graham usually steals her food, so we've had to work around that because Jack Russells hate that. But that's the biggest advice I can give you too is, you might have to try a few foods. You might have to do a slow blend of mixing them together to avoid that belly pain or any kind of diarrhea. And you also might have to make it entertaining for your puppy to enjoy the food. Remember, they're very stimulated when they're young and you're just getting them home. They're just learning the home, they're socializing to the people in the home, they're socializing to the other pets in the home. Their mind is basically in overload mode. So the basics, like making sure that they're growing properly, is huge. Which leads me into my next tip, guys, is tracking weight with your dog is never a bad thing. I do have a video on this channel that references, the size a Jack Russell will get to or the size they should be. Link that in the description as well. But it's super easy to track their weight and their growth. 2 options really. You have your vet, which is a great way to do it so you can get regular checkups, vaccines, etc. Or you can just jump on the scale without your dog and then get on the scale with your dog. subtract the difference, and you have their weight. This is a good way for you to monitor how well your dog is growing. If they're getting too fat, or if they're not growing like they should be, or they're having some deficiencies, which can help you decide if you need to change foods or get them eating more. It can help you understand, just the overall progress that they're making. Another thing I want to emphasize big time on this is that the 4 times a day actually is kind of overwhelming in the beginning, but it is super important. So don't neglect to do that. Don't skip straight to 2. It's big for their bone and their growth development to get those nutrients and to get it several times a day. Like I said, it helps immensely with the potty training process as well, breaking it into those groupings like that. So stick to that, don't ignore it. And again, guys, always remember I'm not a vet, so talk this over with your vet if you're having any anxiety about it. Make sure you're giving them exactly what they need to grow and be healthy dogs, because once they reach that point, they're a very athletic, very muscular dog. They have a lot of abilities physically, and you want to see the full potential if you're going to adopt one of these dogs and what they can become, how good of an exercise partner they can be, or how good of a hunting dog they can be. So stick to the routines, check the diets with your vet, track the growth of your dog, and you'll be in good shape. One of the other tips I have for you guys is, I don't want to preach this too hard because I don't know your finances, but try and avoid the really low-end foods with your dogs. Give them some quality foods with a good balance of the nutrients that they need. There are dog foods that are extremely cheap, and they're cheap typically for a reason. I'm not saying they don't work and that it's going to cause problems with your dog, but if at all possible, try and get a quality dog food with a good reputation. It has the nutrients that your vet recommends, and it gets the job done, and a dog food that they like. Because ultimately, them enjoying the food is what it should be all about, not just a motion of you going through your day and making sure that they're fed. But of course, guys, I always love to hear your recommendations. Food is a big one. It's also a topic I tend to try and stray away from a little bit. I don't really like to dive into the scientific stuff too much because I don't have the credentials to do that. So I'm speaking of experience instead of using a PhD or a master's degree to give you this advice. This is strictly just somebody who owns this dog, who's talked to the vets or done the research on it. So take that as you will, but I would love to hear your recommendations. Be sure to drop those comments down below for us, and be sure to give us a boop on this video with a thumbs up. Helps us out immensely. Just like going over to terrierowner.com helps that website grow, and it helps other Jack Russell Terrier owners find us to get the help, the advice, and have some fun as well. So subscribe if you haven't. New videos every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central. We never miss one of those, and we have new ideas to get more content out for you guys. Most of them are Luna's ideas here, but hit that notification bell, guys. Otherwise, we will see you in the next video. We appreciate you, and take care. Say bye, Luna. Get up there and say bye. You don't want to? Okay.